Hello and welcome to another Wildfoot Travel Wild Conversation. Today I have the immense pleasure of chatting with Roberto Donoso, one of the world's leading experts on pumas. Roberto has worked in Patagonia's national park as a wildlife guide for many years. But aside from being an enthusiastic, committed, highly experienced and knowledgeable wildlife guide, Roberto has another claim to fame. He also worked alongside David Attenborough on the TV series 7 Worlds. Roberto, welcome. Roberto, could you start by just giving us a little bit of your history and tell us what you're all about?
My name is Roberto Donoso. My job is mainly as a wildlife tracker, as a Puma tracker, my main job. Until 7 years ago to now, I dedicate 100% to do this kind of job.
That's great. Do you mind me asking how you became so interested in pumas in the first place?
Well, immediately from after my first day in working for Las Torres, to be specific, in 1998, after the first day, I noticed my interest in wildlife. So, working for Las Torres Hotel in that years, my interest in naturalism increased each year because I worked for Las Torres for about 6 years. I moved from central Chile to here to improve my life in any terms. And I discovered the national park, and specific this area in Las Torres, a wonderful area. So my interest in wildlife from there increased a lot.
Now, I mentioned at the beginning that you worked alongside Sir David Attenborough on the TV show 7 Worlds. Could you give us a little more detail about that experience?
It was a few years ago. I had the chance to participate in a production from BBC called 7 Worlds. So we were about, in total, 2 years. I think BBC, I say, wow, this is tremendous for me. It's a good opportunity. The great chance to work in 7 World program, whatever you say, from BBC was a super opportunity for me, and the chance to show to the world how is the wildlife in Torres del Paine was fantastic for me. The program was very successful because David Attenborough was who put the voice for the program. So, and can you imagine David Attenborough say, "And Roberto finally found the pumas in the territory." So for me it was super. Was wait, David Attenborough mentioned my name, Roberto Donoso, so it was fantastic. So but in general, the production of this program was in the national park and in the estancias near the park. So it was very hard work in hard condition of weather. So, but finally, it was. For me, it was a great experience. So now I know in England they know me. So
and if you don't mind me asking, what is it about pumas that interests you so much above all other wildlife?
Why the puma is for me is fascinating. So first, it's the color of pumas. How the puma can camouflage in the land, even when you are very close, you never notice the presence of pumas. For the tourists, for example, the walkers are walking and never notice the presence of pumas. So that thing, the way to camouflage of the puma is, for me, is fantastic. Another thing is the main predator, the number one is on the top. So the puma can regulate all the animals, like for example foxes, armadillos, hares, and also guanacos. Guanacos is one of the main prey. So puma can hunt guanacos even when guanaco is double weight.
Is there any chance you could tell us a touch more about how the puma hunts and how it stalks its prey?
Normally, the pumas hunt like solitary, very early in the morning and late in the afternoon. During the night, they are active, but not much. So the main activity is more or less between 5 until 10 or 9 in the morning. So in that period, you can see the pumas moving a lot in their territories. So the best areas to see a puma hunting or in the morning and in their movement is in the steppe areas or very open areas. Undulated, but quite open. So, and in the afternoon, after they sleep, they rest during the day. In the midday, they rest. They are totally flat in the ground or in caves. Very well hid. In the afternoon, they appear around more or less 5:30, 6 in the afternoon. So you have to be very attentive and stay in a good position. I hope in a top of a hill or with a good view in a good area where you find guanacos and other animals to observe or to listen the sound of guanacos, the alarm sound of guanacos. That's very important for me.
I was interested to hear you mention territories there, Roberto. Does each individual puma have its own territory?
Well, they have territories. For example, a female have a very short or small or reduced territory as 10 kilometers square, more or less. And males have more around 100 kilometers. The thing is, in the Torres del Paine and in the around, like estancias or ranches, there are many pumas and there is a high overlap. So you can find 2 or 3 females in a reduced area and 1 male in walking. It's very scarce to see, it's very rare to see males because have a very high, big territory. So normally you see solitary pumas moving, or if you are lucky, you can see a female with calves. You can see 1, 2, or 3 calves. It's normal. Even sometimes 4. You can see 4 calves. But it's normally, in general, the puma is solitary.
Could you tell us a little more about puma encounters, Roberto, and what your clients might expect on a trip?
Every trips we see pumas, and also we had chance to photograph pumas. But I know the expectation is very high, but it's now in this moment from 5 or 7 years ago, each year increase the numbers of pumas, the skill of guys. In my case, I know very well each area of the national park or in the ranch around the park. I know the areas where the pumas are moving, at what time they start to move, what kind of or what puma is living in that territory. So for me, it's quite easy. So I can guarantee in 2 or 3 days the trip will be very successful. So in general, you have more chances to see the pumas, even near the Hotel Las Torres, because it's a huge reserve. There are some juveniles and females with cubs around the hotel, so the chance to sit there is very high, and in the national park also we have good chances, but in the national park you have to go through by the main road, so and exist some 2 or 3 trails where we can go walking, but it's very important to be very sensitive to feel or to hear the sound from the rest of animals to detect the pumas in the area.
You mentioned walking. Is the walking particularly strenuous or difficult?
No, normally it's the trip starts by car. Normally you are inside the car. I think 80% is on car. So the rest you can walk, but it's very easy. So the geography in the areas you can walk is quite easy. It's not we have no problem with the old people. So my recommendation is to do. It's not high difficult. So and the chances to see the pumas is very high.
And what about the groups, Roberto? What's the average size of a group that you can expect on one of your trips?
For me, 6 people is a good number. Maybe 8, but not much. 6 because you have to count the guide. So 6 plus the guy and the assistant, so 8 people in the area. So we respect a lot the pumas. When we go to the field, if you see a puma, we spot the puma. I say silent and don't walk or don't run or don't move quickly. So. And first, I observe what is the situation, and then decide what we'll do. So, if a puma is crossing the road, probably we will stop the band or the group. If we are walking, we stop and we try to keep the group as compact as possible. So. And observe with binoculars, or if you have the camera, take picture. But the minimum distance is about 70 meters. 60 is okay, but we try. I have my device to calculate the distance, so I'm sure the puma feel comfortable. The idea is don't disturb the pumas. If you see activity as puma hunting, so the distance is more because we don't want to disturb that activity. It's very important for the puma to hunt and provide food if it's a female to provide the cubs. So.
Now I know there are very strict guidelines in the Torres del Paine National Park in Patagonia. But what does this mean for your trips?
So in the national park, there are high rules, very strict. You cannot go off road. If you are going by car, you can stop the car or the van, and you can observe from the van, not from outside. If you are going or walking by a trail, you are not allowed to abandon the trail no more than 4 meters, maybe less. So in the national park, it's very strict, the rules. So, and as I say, the minimum is 60-70 meters, and it's not allowed to go off-road.
Thanks, Roberto. I'm interested, in general terms, how is the puma population doing at the moment?
The puma is in good health. The numbers of pumas each year are increasing. I know because I stay in the field long time, working as puma tracker 15 years. So I noticed how increased the numbers during these years. So I think the puma is in a good position. So it's safe because in the national park it's protected. Plus, in the ranches or reserve like the Torres, also are protecting and preserving the pumas. So there are estancias that dedicate or change the develop of the job, or whatever you say. Now they are doing tourism. So that is much better for the pumas. So I think the pumas is very, very good now.
Now you mentioned that clients could expect potentially to see puma cubs or juveniles on one of your trips. How many cubs does a puma typically have?
Yeah, normally you see 3 or 4. Now it's often to see. Actually, last time I went to the park, and we found a female with 4 cubs. So the normal size of the litter is 3, 4. Sometimes one important thing to know is a young female, the first bird can be 1 or 2, but a female with more experience can have more, 2, 3 or 4. So that is more or less the thing.
You talked a little more earlier, Roberto, about camouflage. Are all pumas the same colour, or is there a difference in colour between individual pumas?
Color, the color, there are some variation of colors. You can find the color like brown, very pale brown, as like the color of grass. And there are others like gray, silver gray, more or less. It's a natural variation in the pumas. So, for example, you can see a big male with the color like a dark gray. Or you can see females. Normally females have more brownish, like tea with milk, more or less that color. Or the color yellowish color, like the pampas color or the steppe color. So there are some variation, and it's very interesting to observe that.
You've already said, Roberto, that you know each of the pumas by name. Now I have a note here that suggests 1 or 2 of those pumas are quite famous. Could you explain that one to us?
Yes, there are Pumas very famous, like Hermanita. Hermanita is a female. Hermanita means little sister. And now she is 8 years old, more or less, and is always solitary. She have not a descendant. She have a problem. We don't know what happened with her, but she have not babies. So, and why is famous? Because her territory is near a trail, official trail that cross a very good area for pumas, where there are many guanacos and baby guanacos. So it's very interesting to see that puma now, because now it's 8 years old. It's an adult. So she had scars in the face. So, but it's one of my favorite pumas. Yeah, Cola Mocha was the sister of the Hermanita. She disappeared in Argentina's Pampas or Argentina's territories. She left the park when even was very young, but she was tailless, so very easy to distinguish. So I just sometimes you saw two pumas and immediately noticed, wow, that's not a puma, it was a lynx or something like that. But she had a problem. She burned without the tail, so probably is a genetic problem.
That's interesting, Roberto. So, how often does a puma need to hunt? Once a day, twice a day, more or maybe less?
Depend of the puma or depend of the situation. If you find a female with calves and the calves are 4 or 5 months old, so and the number of calves are 2 or 3, so the female have to hunt almost every day, and depend on the prey. If the female hunt a adult guanaco, they can take at least three days of meal. So, and if she hunt a small prey, so it's just for a moment. So she have to be in movement very often to go to hunt. And in the case if the puma is a male adult, for example, the dark one, these guys have are very good experience to stalking. So they are allowed to hunt big prey, like a guanacos adult. So if it's a solitary puma, can take 5 days easy. So the next 5 days probably will hunt.
It's worth me explaining, Roberto, that a guanaco is very similar to a llama. Now, assuming a puma has hunted a guanaco and has the carcass there ready to eat, you say they won't need to hunt for another 5 days, then what do they do with the carcass for those 5 days?
Yeah, normally they hide the guanacos in the grass. They cover with the grass. If there are no grass in the around, the puma move the carcass near a bush and put into the bush, covered by and helped by grass. So to avoid the condors, for example, the condors are flying in the area very often, looking all the time the carcass. So and the others, for example, the foxes, the puma have to carry the carcass to avoid the foxes, the condors, and the caracaras. Caracaras can take very quickly, plus the condors. and finish the prey. So normally you see, if you find a carcass near the trail, be careful, because the puma is near, because you never notice where is a puma sleeping, or because it's the same color, the camouflage is perfect. So the reason is you have to have a very good guy, tracker.
Thank you so much for talking to us today, Roberto. Now, Wildfoot travel clients have the opportunity to join you tracking and photographing pumas in Patagonia. Do you have any additional words for anyone who's interested in your trips?
Yeah, of course. Please, you are welcome to feel this great experience in this fantastic national park. And of course, in Las Torres Hotel, we have a super reserve, a natural reserve, where it's possible to see the pumas too. So I invite you to explore this wonderful, fantastic park.
Thanks again for talking to us today, Roberto. And who knows, I may even get a chance to meet you in person someday soon. Bye for now.